If this is your first time on this channel, I just want to say welcome to the Unknown Game channel, which is my gaming and hobby channel. And one of the things that happens on this channel is I run a monthly live stream series, which is called my Gundam Monthly Live Builds, where once a month, every month, I at least build one Gundam kit or mobile suit from the Gundam series. Oh, the most important part I forgot to mention, we also react to various different videos and have good conversation with chat. Which, who knows, if things work out, that may be expanded this year, but we'll see what happens. So, because in 2025, I built 12 kits last year, well, this video, I'm going to rank each kit I built in 2025 and let you know what I think about them. And again, they're going to be ranked from worst to best. Now be aware, just because it may be ranked 12th as the first one I talk about does not mean it's a bad kit in general. Just from the kits I built in that year, that was the worst kit I built that year. Now, I definitely have my own biases when it comes to these kits, but my goal with this one is I'm going to try to take out as much of my biases as possible and rank it on the quality of the kit and an assortment of other things. And I'm sure you're wondering, what are these other things? Well, I'm not ready to list those things out because even I'm still trying to get a good grasp on what those are. But just know, at least I am trying my best to take as much biases out of this as much as possible. And to make sure it sinks in and there's no confusion, I said I'm trying. I didn't say I will be taking out all the biases, but I'm trying to take out as much as possible. As I go down this list and I list out some of the problems, understand that a lot of these problems can be fixed. But this is not about repairability. This is about how it is coming straight out the box after fully built. So, not to take up any more of your time, let's go ahead and get to the first kit. This one, I'm not gonna lie, is very disappointing, and I'm kind of sad that this was the worst kit I built last year. I was hoping there would be one that's worse, but there wasn't. And that is the Zeta Gundam 0088. I really wish I had a lot of pros to say about this kit, but there's not really much I can say. It's, again, not the worst kit I built, but it definitely has a lot of issues, which sucks. Now, the best part, unlike the original one, the 0088 replaces some parts that were stickers on the original one into actual parts in this variant, and was the main reason why I bought this one. Also, there are a couple of noticeable changes with this kit, and again, that's not really a good or a bad thing. It's kind of more preferences. If I could find a side-by-side video or a side-by-side picture, I'll make sure to put those up on the screen now so you can see them. But now for the cons, and of course, it's not really a con, but I gotta put this in there because I know some people ain't gonna be happy about this, but it is P Bondi. Also, it's kind of hard to get, there's like a part in the shoulder it's kind of hard to pull out because you can push it in and it's hard to kind of get it out there from time to time. It takes a little work, so that's something I don't like. But the bigger ones are the waist feels loose and falls apart over time. The left side of the hyper beam cannon will not close. The arms on the ball joints are kind of stiff and kind of hard to move. The V fin keeps coming off. The neck joint is actually pretty loose. And its feet, when in its Wave Rider form, can feel kind of loose also. This kind of sucks because this is one of my favorite transformation Gundams in the entire series, so I am pretty sad that I had so many issues with this one because I really did like this kit and I really thought this would be better than the original, but with a lot of these issues, I hate to say it, but yes, this is 12th because yeah, this was the worst kit I built last year. I really hate that I'm talking about this one first because it's probably better if I talk about the original first, because a lot of the issues in the original also applies to this one. But since I'm doing this in order, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Tallgeese 3. So I'm only going to focus on the issues that I find only applies to the Tallgeese 3. And then once I talk about the Tallgeese, because I also built that one this year, I'll also list those problems and let you know which ones cross over with each other. First thing, I love that they used the wire with the heat rod. Oh, it's such a great idea, and it helps it get really nice articulation without it feeling like it's gonna break. It was such an amazing idea, and I love that they included that wire. The only thing is, when building this kit, the wire is very easy to lose. I've already lost it once. I was able to find it, but I already lost it once, so be careful with that wire. But because of that wire, I love the heat rod on this kit. The only thing I wish that the heat rod had like a pull-out mechanism to make the heat rod go a little bit longer, but that wire was just an amazing idea. I also love the beam cannon a lot more than the Dobra gun. I think that's how you pronounce it on the original Tallgeese. And there's a couple of more things I do like about this kit, but because it crossovers with the original Tallgeese, I'm going to wait till I get to the original Tallgeese to talk about the other pros. So let's go ahead and start with the cons of the Tallgeese 3. First thing is, as much as I love the beam cannon, one of the nozzles or one of the parts that comes out does not stay tucked in. I got to keep pushing it back in. So that's a big issue. The booster mechanism to open up the boosters on the backpack doesn't open up properly. Usually you have a switch that you can push back and they all open up. For some reason on the Tallgeese 3, I have an issue with that. I usually have to do parts of it manually, and that's something I only have an issue with the Tallgeese 3, and I don't know why. Also, it's a P-bond die, so I gotta always knock it for being a P-bond die. Now, currently this is not a knock, but it's more of a fear of the future. It does feel like as this kit starts to age, some of these parts may get loose over time, so that does worry me. I hope that's not the case, but I am kind of nervous about that. Also, certain parts block the articulation, so be aware of that. So there's certain poses that you're either gonna have issues doing or you're not going to be able to do at all. And the last thing, which is not really a con, so I'm not really going to knock the kit for this, but the Tallgeese 3 out the box is a little plain, so you might want to think about maybe painting it a little bit or applying some of those stickers just to bring a lot more life, because that's one thing I will say about the Tallgeese 3. It is very, very plain looking. Even though I don't mind it that much, I can admit, yeah, you might want to add some of those real great stickers and maybe do some pound lining just to give it a little bit more detail and bring a little bit more life out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here, but that's why the Tallgeese 3 is number 11. Even though, and I'll say this, it is a great kit. It is a great kit. I do like it. It's a really good kit. But because it also inherits some problems from the original Tallgeese, which I have yet to talk about, that's why the Tallgeese 3 is number 11. Great kit, but it has its own set of issues on top of the issues that you can also find with the original Tallgeese. Number 10 is probably one of my favorite kits on this list, and it's actually the first and only Rich from Mercury kit that I currently have and own, and that is the Gundam Nyan, which actually comes from the side store. Okay, so instead of putting this in the cons, I'll just start off by saying that yes, this is a P-Bandai kit. I know some people don't like that, so I'll make sure to mention that first going forward. But this thing has an amazing, and even I would say a villain-like design, but I love the look of this kit, and this kit has a couple of interesting things with it. First thing, I love the main spear weapon. That is such a unique design weapon, And I love that thing. I love its main weapon. I love that it could be used as a spear or even as a beam cannon. I just love how unique it is. I love it. The beam sabers that's stored in the clavicles is freaking sick. Also, I love that these beam sabers have a different color than normal. Now, if I'm wrong, please leave it in the comments down below. But I think this might be the first kit that has blue beam saber effects than the normal pink or green. Now, and sometimes there's red and there's some clear ones too. Now again, I could be wrong with that. If I am, let me know in the comments down below. But I'll at least say this for myself. This is the first kit that I've ever bought that has blue effect parts for its beam sabers. I've never seen that before. Now, I will admit this, when you're building it, it does kind of worry you. But once you get it done, you realize that the kit looks fully better built than when you're going through it. And the reason why I say that is because I did not like that orange color that was on this kit, but once I got it built, it looked a lot better than what I thought. So that's why I said give it some time to build up, because maybe an aspect of it that you don't like for me, it was the color, and especially just how it's being built. It was just, I didn't know what was happening. But once you get through that point and you get it built, you'll realize why it is the way it is, and actually it doesn't look that bad. The one thing I also love about this kit is how easy it is to apply the eye sticker, and this kit also has very minimal stickers. Another thing that I love is where they place the main weapons. Well, the main beam cans, I should say, which are also the main weapons, because usually those will be on the backpack, but instead they put it on the waist. I'm so happy that they did that. Although, even though I know I'm not there yet, I gotta admit that's also a knock, because where you would think because they moved the main beam cannons to the waist, you'll be able to add on additional backpacks. Well, with this kit, it's not really designed in a way that you could add additional backpacks to it. So that's kind of a knock, but again, that's just the way this Gundam is designed. So I can't really call it a knock. It's just something you gotta be aware of. The two things I love about the main beam cannons is the opening mechanism and the fact that the funnels are attached to the beam cannons itself. I actually love those two things. Now, there's something you need to be aware of when going into this kit, particularly when it comes to those two main beam cannons. Most of your time building this kit is basically going to be building those beam cannons. Building those two beam cannons took me as much time, or maybe a little bit less, than building the actual main kit. That's how long it takes for you to build those beam cannons. So understand, the majority of your time will be building those two beam cannons. So be aware of that. So that's it with the pros. Now it's time to get to the cons. First thing I didn't like about it is that there's not really a place to store the main spear weapon. I didn't really like that. That kind of sucked, because I would love to keep everything together. But this kit, there's no place to store that weapon. So that kind of sucks. It also can be back heavy. So, I mean, you could get it right with a little bit of filling with it, but it can be a little back heavy. So be aware when posing. You got to get it in the right position so that doesn't become a problem. There are really clear, visible seam lines that if that bothers you, I'm just letting you know, you can see those clearly. Again, you can fix them later, but that's something to be aware of. When posing this kit, the clear parts have a tendency to pop off from time to time, and the legs have a tendency to fall off at the waist when you start to pose this kit for a certain length of time. Now, the biggest issue with this kit, as the reason why this kit is ranked so high up, is because it uses, I guess you could call it a C-clip to connect a lot of the parts. And the issue with it, which is what I found, is sometimes the parts, like certain areas of the kit, will just kind of pop off. because it is a C-clip and it has an area where it can't slip out. But the other issue and the biggest issue, well, there's two. One, it could probably dull over time as you pose it time and time again. And an issue that I ran into, which actually happened with my kit, is I actually have a stretch mark at the cannons because I tried to turn the cannons and it kind of went the wrong direction and just stressed it out, which can weaken, or I should say has weakened, that connection point. And that's the problem with C-clips. You gotta be very careful with posing this kit. Because they're using C-clips, it's very easy to stress this kit out. So over time, it's gonna be hard to keep the parts together. So now that is the worst issue with this kit. Now I don't have any problems besides the one stress area at the cannon. The cannon still holds good. You just can see the white line where it got stretched out, where it got stressed out. But that is a huge problem and it's something I wanted to make sure that you're aware of when getting this kit. Now, to clarify, there are no issues with this kit right now. It's strong and it's solid besides the one stress mark, which it does seem to be a little weak, but it still holds fine. But right now, as recording of this video, besides that one part, the kit is fine. Now, like I said earlier, this is my first Witch from Mercury kit. And I can honestly tell you, outside of that C connection issue, this is a great kit. It looks amazing. And like I said, it just looks like the perfect villain kit. Well, the perfect villain Gundam. But I love this one. And I'm glad this was my first Witch from Mercury kit. Now, will I build another one? Who knows? But I will say that I'm happy that this was my first one, even with the major issue. It's an amazing looking kit. Next one we're going with is the original Toggies, but the variant I have is the TV color version, which you should already know that's a P Bondi. So letting you know right now, which kind of sucks. So you know the price is going to be higher than the original one. But when it comes to the Toggies, this actually is one of my favorite real grades I ever built. I love the look of this kit. Now, I'm not saying it's the best real grade I ever built, but this is definitely a great kit. One of my favorite things on this kit are the backpack or the exhausts that are everywhere. It has so much detail on there. It is amazing. The other thing is, unlike the Toggies 3, the boosters, the mechanism to open up the boosters actually works. I haven't had an issue with it outside of the very top where sometimes it could kind of come off and it kind of fits kind of loose. So that's a thing that happens, but you can easily click it back on, which that is a knock in the pro section, but I did want to mention that. But I love the color of this kit. Actually, I bought this kit because the color scheme takes me back to my childhood. Now, there are two different color schemes that you can choose. So mine has a little bit different color in certain sections, but that's a personal choice. But be aware they do have the parts to get it pretty much 100% accurate. This also has a lot more color to it, so unlike the Toggies 3, you don't really have to worry about painting it, at least in my opinion, unless you want to, but I think it looks perfectly fine the way it is. And I probably want to recommend this if you're not a fan of this color, because you can always paint it yourself if you want to put in the extra work. But I would pretty much only really recommend this for hardcore wing fans, because the original one is out there and it's cheaper than the variant I have. And like I said, it's P Bondi, so it's not always available. One thing that I want to mention real quick is that I actually lost a part on this mobile suit, which was the beam saber handle. I was building this kit and I have no idea where it went, but it just went missing. I don't know what happened to it. So what I did was I reached out to P Bondi, and I also reached out to Bluefin, and they wound up sending me a new replacement part. And I'm only mentioning this is because if y'all are building a kit and you lose a piece or a part, depending on what it is, I recommend you reach out to Bluefin, or if you buy a P Bondi kit, P Bondi, and they'll send you in the right direction. So if I think I have a picture or video of it. If I do, I'll put it on the screen. If I don't, well, again, this is just inform you that if you're ever missing a piece or a part off of any kit that you're building, make sure to reach out to either P Bondi or Bluefin, and they might be able to send you a replacement part like they did for me. So now, starting with the cons, actually, this first one is more my self issue, but I wound up messing up the sticker, so the eye sticker is kind of off, so I wound up having to cut a piece off of the basic little sticker, I don't know what's called, basically the little sticker sheet to replace the eyes, and I was able to get it to work, but you really got to be careful when putting stickers on these kits, because yeah, I ruined the main sticker, so I wound up having to make a custom one, which wound up working at the end, but still, yeah, I definitely had issues with sticking on stickers on eyes, but again, that's normal. It's not really a knock, but it's something that happened to me that you should be aware of. Just be careful. Also, some parts are loose, particularly the upper part of the booster and the back part of the Dober gun. And I think I said it earlier, but sometimes the part I'm talking about, like the upper part of the booster, may pop off. You can easily pop it back on, but just be aware when you're trying to open up the boosters, that is a problem that happens because it's supposed to kind of tilt up, and yeah, it has a hard time staying together. The red part on the top of the helmet can fall off randomly, so be aware of that. One of the worst part of the kit is the ankle movement. It's not very good. The articulation in the ankles is terrible, by the way. So there's really not any great side-to-side ankle movement. It's also not the easiest to pose, which is the same with the Toggies 3. And the other thing that shares with the Toggies 3 is the side skirts, the boots on the side skirts, it's like a little ball. It's very hard to keep that attaching and keep that little ball thing in the side skirt. It usually falls out, so that's something else to be aware of. I wish it had like a mechanism where you could just clip it in and then like clip it out, but so that's something that you have to pay attention to. Articulation on this kit isn't the best, and it can be a little finicky to pose. And going back to articulation, the same issue that I have with this kit is the same issue when it comes to articulation on the Toggies 3. The one thing I want to mention of note is make sure if you're just getting into Gunpla or Gundam model kit buildings, whatever you want to call it, understand that this is not a great kit to start with. This is a kit you may want to do after you build a couple of kits before this one, because this is a horrible starting kit. Now, because I say it's a horrible starting kit does not mean it's a horrible kit. It's actually one of the best kits out there, and it looks amazing. Even with all the issues, even with some of the articulation issues, it still is one of the best looking kits on the market, and it's probably one of my favorite kits. One of my favorite real grades I've built so far because of just the detail on the kit. It is amazing. It's one of the best real grades out there, and it's a very nice kit to have for all you Gundam Wing fans or Toggies fans. This is actually a great pickup. And for this being my first real grade non-Gundam kit, because I realized I did build a non-Gundam kit before, back when I was younger. But beyond that, this is one of the best real grades on the market. I definitely think if you're not a beginner, it's worth picking up. Gundam Sirius, which is one of my favorite kits on this list, and I was so happy that I built this one. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I actually I don't want to say fixed the poll, but I'll just be blunt. What I did was I called a bunch of my friends to go in and vote on that poll so I could build the Gundam Sirius on the month that I built it. That's the truth. So yes, you can be mad about it. You can hate me for it. but I don't regret nothing because I'm so glad I built that kit when I did, because it is one of the best looking kits on my shelf. One of the things I love about this kit, and it's something I love with any mobile suit that does this, is when you basically get two mobile suits in one, and that's kind of how it looks like. Without the armor, it looks like a completely different mobile suit than when it is with the armor. So it's basically like having two kits in one, and I love that. The other thing I would say about this kit is it looks like in the future they're going to support future attachments onto this kit, and I can't wait for those to come out because I definitely plan on buying those, because it just looks like you could just attach a bunch of different parts onto this kit, because this kit just looks, I mean, it just has that many holes that you can attach different things to it. But for what it is without the armor and with the armor, I just love when kits are like that. And the other thing, the stickers aren't that bad on this kit. They're actually pretty good. So I'm pretty happy about that too. They're not too bad. So I love that. And the backpack, the feathers on the backpack are amazing. I'll be honest, this is one of my favorite looking kits that I own. And I'm so glad I got it. It was totally worth it, and I do recommend it. But like almost every kit on this list, there are some issues. First thing, and probably the biggest issue, is that the joints could be very stiff. So you really need to be careful with posing, because it can be hard to pose, particularly at the legs. One thing I recommend you do if you're going to pose the legs, make sure to turn it at the joint. It may loosen up over time, but this kit is definitely stiff when you first build it. So you got to be aware, because it feels like it could be pretty easy to break aspects of this kit, and it makes it kind of hard and stiff to pose. So be careful when you're posing it. The other thing is that armaments can't pop off because of that, because it's so stiff. I've noticed that happens. Oh, I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but yes, this is another P Bondi kit, so that's something you got to think about. Even though I would say the articulation on this kit is great, it gets limited once you attach the armor. So that's something else. Also, the main beam rifle is a disappointment, because it looks like it's supposed to be extendable, but they just didn't put the extending function in there. So they just made it like two plastic parts. So I really did not like that they did that. But beyond these issues, this is still one of the best looking kits that I built all year, and to me it's one of my favorite kits that I built. And I actually do recommend it so much that if I get a chance, I wouldn't mind building another one. That's how much I love the series Gundam, and I really cannot wait if I'm right and they bring out more attachments, because I would love to see what other looks that this kit can pull off. I'm very curious. Now, I think this is the first non-P Bondi kit that I mentioned on this list, and that is the Shenlong Gundam. And I'm going to tell you, this kit, it actually is a pretty solid kit. The articulation isn't the best, but it's not bad, it's okay. The one thing I love about this kit is the locking mechanism on the dragon fang. That is freaking sick. I love that. But there's three big issues with this kit, and that's why it's at where it's at. One, the shoulders are the worst aspect of this kit by far. I don't understand why they chose to use stickers instead of actually use clear parts on the shoulders that you can attach. I don't know why they made that decision, but it is the worst decision that they made on this kit. That didn't make no sense, because you know they didn't have to. It's just terrible. Second is the weapon holder on the backpack can be kind of loose when holding the weapon. So that's something else to be aware of. And my last issue, which is going to be true with any kit that I built, is when you put the stand hold on a seam line. Now, I'm not going to say it's an issue, but it's something I really don't like that could become an issue in the future. I mean, of course, it'd be probably an easy fix. You could probably just glue it together, or you could just, you know, if it comes apart, just squeeze it together. But that still will always be something that I don't like when that decision is made when making these kits. But beyond that, like I said earlier, this is nothing but a solid kit. The Ultron Gundam is almost a work of art. One of my favorite kits from the entire Wing series, and actually one of my favorite kits overall. It is an amazing, amazing kit. When it comes to the two beam cannons on the back, whether it's the wings, even the color, which I normally I never thought I would like, but on this Gundam, it's amazing. The dual dragon fangs, which is a staple of this kit, and they actually got the shoulders right by using a freaking part instead of stickers. I appreciate that so much. Even the beam trident is cool. I actually have the original Ultron from the early 2000s. And with the improvements from when that came out to this one, I'm not gonna lie, it makes me jealous of all you new Gundam fans that are just getting into Gundam, because this is by far one of the best kits that you can purchase. Now, let me say this. It was a P-Bond die, and that's one of the things I'm kind of upset about, is I feel like I kind of overpaid for it, because now it's no longer a P-Bond die and it's actually a regular release. Actually, if I remember right, and I could be wrong, please fact check me, but if I remember right, it became an exclusive release to the US. So I freaking love this kit. It's one of my favorite ones, but it definitely has a couple of issues. Nothing too bad, but things that need to be mentioned. All right, I take that back. This first one actually is. First, the wings don't fully close at the seam line, so that's a pretty big knock. And once again, just like the Shenlong, the Ultron, the hole is placed at the seam line again, and you already know how I feel about that. I hate that. And then the only other thing, which actually isn't an issue, like this isn't a problem, that's just me doing too much, is that if you attach too many extension arm parts, it could weigh down the kit, which I've done. But again, that's not the kit's fault. That's just me attaching all the parts onto one arm, and I would recommend you don't do that. Again, not too many problems except for the one that stands out, which is the wings, but it's probably one of my favorite kits that I built last year and on this list, and most likely of all time. I probably gotta redo that list one day, but yes, one of my favorite kits I've ever built. The Gundam X line is probably my favorite line of Gundams, one of my favorite line of Gundams of all time. I think I have a video on it showing how many Gundam X kits that I have, and I still want to rebuy a couple of more because I want to kit bash them. Actually, I'm probably going to try to wait to see if they do a re-release or a real grade, which is what I'm hoping for. But I love the Gundam X line of Gundams. It's one of my favorite lines. It's one of my favorite design lines. Outside of the Double X, not the biggest fan of that one, but everyone before that, I love them. And this one is by far my favorite variant, which is the Gundam X Jumoa. And I really don't have that many things bad to say about this kit. It is so good that honestly, if it does come back out and I can afford it, I would not mind buying another one of these, but mainly for kit bashing. The Jumoa is just it's just the perfect Gundam X, because one of my biggest criticisms of the Gundam X is that it used a satellite cannon, so you're dependent on a satellite, and this variant improves that. Now this comes from the Build Fighter series, and once again is a P-Bond die, so I gotta mention that. But here's the cons, and I will say they're not that bad. So first, the gray arm parts don't really sit completely flush. The 4 beam cannons on the back you can't really twist them to put in firing mode. You actually have to take them off and then put them back on. That's how you do it. Again, it's a nitpick, but I really don't like that. I just wish you could twist it by itself. And the last one, which is crazy for me to say, but there are no stickers for the beam cannons in the hands, because actually the hands themselves in the palm has a beam cannon and they don't have a sticker to show that off. Again, a nitpick, but something that would add to it. And you could probably cut it out yourself, but that's just something I wish that was included, was tiny stickers that go into the palm. Now, with all that being said, that's all my issues. And I would say 2 of those are more of a nitpick. But again, this is not a bad kit. This is one of the most solid kits I have and one of the best kits last year that I built. It is an amazing kit. I'm a big Gundam X fan, and this to me is the perfect form of the Gundam X, in my personal opinion. Although I do hope they come out with another design of it in the future. Because again, I am a fan and I love seeing different variants of Gundam X. I would love to see a lot more in the future. But yes, Gundam X Jamoa, highly recommend it. And if you can pick it up, if it comes back in stock on P Bandai, if you're a Gundam X fan, I guarantee you will love this kit. This next kit is the first kit I built last year. And I used to think this Gundam was called Murdoch, but it's actually called Gundam G06 Mudrock. Not Murdoch, Mudrock. And there's not too many things bad I could say about this kit. It basically has 2 modes, a standard form and an armor form, which, again, I love the armor form way more than I like the form without the armor, but still, that is something that gets me every single time. There's 2 things that get me with the kit. It's a great transformation, and if it has an armor up mode, particularly if the armor up mode makes the Gundam look completely different. Now, this isn't as extreme as the Gundam series, which I mentioned earlier, but still, it is cool to have basically 2 different looks for a Gundam in the box. It's one of my favorite Gundam variants. It's not my most favorite Gundam variants, but it's one of my favorite Gundam variants. I didn't really find any issues with this kit except for one. And the only issue I found is the right leg does seem to feel loose, but it actually is just fine, doesn't have any issues. It just kind of feels looser than the rest of the kit. So that's something to be aware of, at least, and maybe something that's just only with my kit, but it still is solid, it still works, there's no issue, it doesn't pop up, doesn't fall off. It just feels a little loose and it kind of makes me nervous. But with that being said, if you want a solid, again, P Bandai kit, you should go with the Mudrock. It is a really great solid kit. Real quick, I need to make a correction here. I said that this has an armored up mode. That is not true. It's an incomplete and a complete mode. So that's why if you look at it, the only thing that's really changed was the shoulders, but there's not really an armor on top of it. Even though it does look cool, because I do like that there's 2 variations, but it's not exactly an armor up mode. It's just a complete and incomplete version. Number 3. I can't remember if it's called the Heavy Arms Gundam or the Gundam Heavy Arms. I forgot which way it goes. I should look it up, but If you're watching the video, the correct title will be on the screen. But now this is not one of my favorite Gundams that I built throughout the year, but this is one of the most solid Gundam kits that I built throughout the year, and that's why it's ranked so high. One of my favorite things about any kits that I build are locking mechanism, and Heavy Arms has a locking mechanism in its chest. Again, this is another kit I built back in the day, and that one had an issue with the chest opening up all the time. And now in this one that they have a locking mechanism, which made this kit so much better. I definitely have a bias when it comes to locking mechanisms. I always give bonus points to kits that have locking mechanisms built in. I also love the red color scheme when it comes to this kit. And the articulation isn't bad on this one at all. This is absolutely one of the most solid kits I built all year. But there is one major issue that I freaking hate. And that is the stickers. Particularly, the number one issue are the chest stickers. I freaking hate those chest stickers. It basically ruins the kit for me. That was a problem with the old one that I own, and that's still a problem with this one. I hate those stickers. I wish those were parts. They should be parts, and I'm hoping when the Heavy Arm Custom comes out, they will actually make those parts and not just these crappy stickers. I hate that about this kit. And this one is such a big deal because it stands out just like the Shenlong's shoulders. Hate them. This one was supposed to be my number one, but I knocked it back to number two for a particular reason, and I'll tell you about that when I get to number one. But number two on this list is the Gundam Sandrock. And the reason being, the Gundam Sandrock is probably the most solid kit that I built on this entire list. I basically have no issues with this kit besides some minor ones. This kit has very little stickers. It's very solid, pretty good with articulation. I love that it included the red clear parts for the sword. It has multiple hands. If you are a fan of Sandrock, I can honestly say that this is probably the best version of Sandrock that I've ever owned. And I've only owned one other copy of Sandrock, so that's not really saying much. But this is by far the best Sandrock kit that I've ever owned. Well, hold on, I said that wrong. This is probably the best Sandrock kit that I've ever built, not owned. Because there's still one more that might be able to beat this one. But this kit is just straight up solid. I found no real issues. I actually only have two issues. First, that center sticker, I wish that was a clear piece, not just a sticker. So that's one knock I have for it. And the other one, I wish the head sat a little lower than what it is on the kit. Those are my only issues. And one of those to me is a nitpick issue. And it's just a preference. But beyond that, Sandrock is the most solid kit that I built all year. So much so, if I was to advise somebody what kit should you start off with when coming into Gundam, I would happily say start with the Sandrock. And I'm even saying that, just so you know, I'm not even the biggest fan of this Gundam. The only reason why I even got this one is because a friend got me this as a birthday gift to help out the channel. So I want to give a quick shout out to Adam. You know who you are out there. Thank you. Because of you, I was able to finish all the first Gundams in the Gundam Wing series. But I say all that just to say that as somebody who wasn't even a big fan of Sandrock, this still hit number two throughout this entire year because it is the most solid kit that I built all year. Again, this Gundam is a great starting point for people who want to actually get into or try building Gunpla or Gundam model kits for the first time. Number one is the best kit I built all year. And the only reason why this is number one and not number two is because I had the most fun posing this kit than any other kit I have ever built. I had so much fun with this kit, so much fun posing it. And actually, that's simply the answer. This is the most fun I've had building, well, not even building, posing the kit ever. And this one is the real grade Shining Gundam. Probably the king of posability. Now, I don't know, because I still need to build the God/Burning Gundam depending on where you're at. But from my understanding, the Shining Gundam has some of the best posability in pretty much all the Gundam kits. And I can honestly say this kit has probably the best articulation of any and all kits I have ever built in my life. This has the best articulation. This kit looks so much better than the original. I love the dimensions. This is just one of the best kits I have ever owned, and it's one of the most funnest kits that I've ever owned. I just have so much fun posing this kit in so many different ways. I cannot help but recommend this kit to everybody. This is absolutely the best kit I've built all year. But there are a couple of cons. First, some parts feel kind of tight, some parts feel a little loose, which it kind of worries me that this kit may loosen up over time. So I do have that worry. Not really an issue right now, but over time it could be. I'm not sure. Also, it is kind of hard to put it into super mode, particularly in the face, which actually, that's one thing I gotta say that is the greatest part. You can actually put it in super mode and it is amazing. But the face mask is kind of hard to open up. So you actually gotta use something small like some pliers to get in there to open it up to put it into super mode. But when you get into super mode, it looks amazing. The only thing that would be better if I could find a solid gold shining Gundam for like cheap and I could attach those parts where the yellow is at. An amazing build. The other knock is a nitpick, is that compared to the high grade kit, which I have never built the high grade, well, I haven't built the newest Shiny Gundam high grade. That has a lot more accessories than this one, which kind of sucks, which probably there will be accessories for this kit to come out, but it's probably going to be P Bondi. This kit's not P Bondi, but the accessories may be a P Bondi thing, so it's just something to be aware of. Now, this isn't a knock, but it is something I gotta mention. It is probably one of the messiest kits I've ever built. I'm still trying to vacuum up all the plastic off my floor, but that's more of a personal issue, not really a knock on the kit. Now, I do hope that an accessory kit comes out in the future, but beyond that, this by far is the most funnest kit I have ever built since I've started building Gundam kits. And that's why this kit is the best kit I've built in 2025, because it's just simply a fun kit. So that's it for the Gundams that I built back in 2025. Make sure to let me know in the comments down below what your favorite build was back in 2025, or if you haven't built any kits and this is your first time watching a Gundam video, let me know in the comments down below if there's any kits on this list that you may be interested in trying to build, particularly for your first build. I recommend Stand Rock, but whatever you're interested in, let me know in the comments down below. Now, there's a couple of things I want to mention before we head out to kind of let you know what's going to happen with the Gundam live builds and the Gundam shorts throughout this year. First, like I said in other videos, I am drastically running out of space. And sadly, once I'm out of space, I won't be able to do any more Gundam monthly live builds. This year, I was hoping to do 12 in a row, but it's looking like I'm only going to be able to do 6 this year. Now, you can change that. And we actually had a goal, which I said in a different video. And that is, if you want the Gundam live builds to continue how it is and the Gundam shorts, all you had to do is hit that subscribe button. The goal and the hope is, hopefully by next month, we can hit 1,000 subscribers. If we hit that goal, then I will continue doing Gundam monthly live builds on this channel, but you have to subscribe. As of right now, it's going to be every other month, but that can change with your help. But before we hit that target, we have one more milestone that we're about to hit. Last I checked, I'm about 12 subscribers away. So make sure to hit that subscribe button to help us hit that next milestone before we hit our target milestone. The last thing I want to say, I don't know when this video is coming out, but understand, depending on when this video comes out, either it's happened or it's going to happen, which is a Gundam monthly live build. And it will be happening this week. Now, if it's already happened, just go over to the live tab and you can see this month monthly live build. But if it hasn't came out yet, go ahead and check out the community tab where you can vote for the Gundam that I built for this month in January. Actually, the first build of the year, which right now what's winning is the new Gundam. So if you want to see something else, make sure to go over to the community tab and vote for a different kit that you may prefer. But right now, the new Gundam's in the lead, and it's looking like I'm going to be building that this month. So I'm going to make an announcement right here about the Gundam monthly live build for this month. Sadly, it's going to have to be pushed back to next month because I actually got called in for a project and I got to get that done. And because of that, something had to be pushed back. So I decided to push back my first live stream of the year into next month. So there will be a live build next month. And as of right now, it's going to be the new Gundam. But that can change depending on how you vote. So once again, like I said earlier, if you want to vote for a different kit, you have 4 choices. Go over there on the community tab on YouTube and you can choose what Gundam I build for February. And unlike I did, I think last year or the year before, no, I will not be doing a second build to make up for what happened in January. Like I said earlier, I'm only planning on doing 6 or 7 builds this year unless we hit a particular milestone. So yeah, so the next build will be in February, not January. My bad for the long ending. I just want to make sure if anybody is new coming to this channel, you know what this is about. So once again, I want to thank y'all. I appreciate y'all for checking out this channel and this video. I definitely appreciate it. And again, if you don't mind on your way out, hit that subscribe button. Help me grow this channel. Help me build this brand. Help me to create one of the best communities here on the internet today. And help me keep Gundam shorts and live builds alive on this channel.